Good evening. MA Philosophy, MPY001, Block number 5, Unit number 4, Indian Aesthetics. Objectives. The main objective of this unit is to study the origin and development of art appreciation and experience, classified under the title Aesthetics as a distinct branch of philosophy. Aesthetics is borrowed term from Greek, used in Germany for the first time to deal in the field of art experience, is most often contrasted to the Indian art experience popularly known as Rasa. In this unit, we shall begin with an analysis of the word aesthetics and its employment in the field of art. We shall then take a look at the literary development of Indian aesthetics. In two sections, we shall briefly learn the theory of rasa, followed by various other theories, primarily dealing with the mechanism of an appreciation and experience. Finally, we shall see the role of aesthetics in philosophy and its distinct place as aesthetico philosophy. By the end of this unit, you should be able to understand the role of aesthetics, to get a broad outline of the aesthetic literature, to appreciate the various theories of aesthetics, and to relate aesthetics and its philosophical implications. Introduction to aesthetics. Let us begin with the analysis of the word aesthetics. Generally, it is associated in the field of art. The art appreciation is also known by the word aesthetics, and also the art experience, though the word appreciation and experience are interrelated and overlapping. They are distinguished in the field of art. However, anything related to art suggests the use of the word aesthetics. In this context, let us see what the word aesthetics means. It is a Greek word which means sense perception. Anything that is given to the senses is known as aesthetics, and later it was used in the plural as aesthetics. In 1735, this word was for the first time formally used by Alexander Gottlieb Baumgarten in the sense of science of sensitive cognition in the field of arts. Later, this science of art, namely aesthetics, came to be recognized as a distinct branch of philosophy under the head philosophy of art. In the Indian context, we have simply borrowed the term aesthetics and broadly applied in the field of Indian art, and thus we say Indian aesthetics generally refers to the art appreciation and art experience of art forms. In order to understand the function of aesthetics in art, let us first survey the classification of art forms. Art forms in the Indian context, the art forms like music, dance, architecture, painting, etc. are found mentioned in the earliest available works like the Vedas, Puranas, Itihasas, etc. Thus, it is tedious to place historically the advent of art form what we have in a span of 100 years. 18th 19th century AD located and arranged one of the earliest treatises dealing especially with the art form and the mechanism of art experience, known as Natya Shastra, attributed to sage Bharat. The period is roughly from 5th century BC to 3rd century AD. By this time, the art form is classified into the three arts, namely poetry, kavya, drama or theater, natya or music, gana. We find classification of arts into 64 that includes stringing, uh, st- stringing flowers, face painting, etc. But the identification of the three arts seems to enhance the study of art experience, elevating it from the physical plane to the spiritual plane. Even among these three, Varda in the Nash Shastra shows that the highest form of art experience is poetry, and it can be well brought out by acting. The Natya Shastra deals with the three main arts and defines the art experience as rasa and provides the mechanism of what came to be known later as rasa experience. The word rasa, though profound, reaching beyond the sensitive cognition, however, over a period of time has come to be identified with the word aesthetics of Western origin. Now, in the light of the three main arts, we shall survey the literary development in these three art forms. We do not do have much literature in the other art forms. Here, we restrict to these three arts basically to understand the evolution and development of aesthetics in the Indian context. A survey of aesthetic literature. We shall classify the literature on Indian aesthetics broadly into three based on a above classification of three arts forms: Kavya, Natya, and Gan. Firstly, we present the earliest available treatise, that is Natya Shastra, that commonly presents Rasa, the experience of any art form, and specifically the three mentioned art forms, Natya Shastra and its commentaries. The treatise Natya Shastra, attributed to sage Bharata, deals with the science of dramat, dramaturgy, and we have at least three different editions with 36, 37, and 38 chapters. Considering the 36 chapters work for the earliest, we find the description of characteristics of poetical works. Kavya Lakshanam in the 70th chapter, different type of dramas and natakas, also known as rupakas, in the 20th chapter, and music, the Dhruvas in the 32nd chapter. The famous definition of rasa in the aphoristic sutra form is given in the 6th chapter of Natasas. This is a later referred to by the aestheticians as Rasa Sutra. The available commentary to the Nat Shastra is that of Abhinav Gupta, 10th to 11th century AD. The commentary is known as Natya Veda Vivratti and most popularly as Abhinav Vratti. Abhinav Gupta comments this treatise in the background of Pratyabhigyana Shaiva system that is said to have prevailed widely in Kashmir. From this available commentary, we come to know that there has been several earlier commentators to Natasastra like Udbhat Bhattalolat, Sri Shakunta, uh, Bhattanayak, Kirtidhar, Rahula, Sriharsh, and others. Basically, the commentators differed in the interpretation of the Rasa Sutra and evolved their theories of Rasa. We shall deal with the theories of Rasa in 1.3 of this unit. The other feature of the commentaries are the different viewpoints on the nature of the drama, Rupak, dramatic presentation, Vritti, his histrionics, Abhinay, and different aspects of music and poetical compositions. In the broad platforms of Rasa theory, developed various views on aesthetically sound poetic compositions. We shall now see some of the literary contributions in the field of poetry that took a prime place in the gamut of aesthetic study. Works on Kavya poetry, Bharata describe alang, alankaras, literally known as embellishments that which gives rise to a beautiful poetry. Based on this, later aestheticians build up theories on producing a beautiful poetry by refining and redefining the alankaras. In that order, we enumerate here some of the important works in the alankar literature that fall under the aesthetic theory of poetry. The the Bhamanas Bhama's mm, Kavya Lankar describes Kavya and divides it into three based on the language at Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Apabhrans. Bhama is considered as the oldest exponent of the Alankar system or Alankar school of poetics. By this time, Alankar has evolved as a distinct school of aesthetics in par with rasa. Dandin in the Kavyadars divides Kavya as Gadya prose, Padya poetry, and Mishra both prose and poetry. In the work Alankara Sar Sangrah, the author Udbhat deals with 41 Alankaras with 90 illustrations. The author Bhamana in his work Kavya Alankar Sutra declares Riti, or the special arrangement or combination of words as a soul of poetry. The Kavya Alankar is an extensive work of Rudrat. It consists of 16 chapters and reviews the whole field of poetics. He was the first to attempt a scientific classification of the figures as based on certain definite principles. In about 9 to 10th century, the famous work Dhanya Lok of Anandvardhan took a new form which settled the principles to be followed in poetics. It is considered as the epoch-making work in the history of poetic literature. He introduced the two senses in poetry, expressed and implied. The term he uses is dhwani, that brings out the poetic beauty in the suggestive language. Raj, uh, Rajashekara's Kavya Mimamsa serves more as a practical handbook for poets. Kuntaka, in his Vakrokti Jivat, is said to have elevated poetic expression with extraordinary charm known as Vakrokti. In the late 14th to 16th century, we find standard works like Sahitya Darpan of Vishwanath and works of Jagannath and others that seem to embellish further the theories of poetic compositions. We shall deal with the theories of aesthetics in the light of poetry in 4.4 in this unit. Works on Natya, dramatology, dramaturgy, dramaturgy. Some of the independent works on dramaturgy is traced to the earlier 10th century CE. The famous works being the Shrupak of Dhananjaya, commented by his brother Dhanika. It deals with the 10 main types of Rupak as found in Natyasastra. Another work is the Natak Lakshan Ratnakosh of Sa- Sagaranandan, which also deals with dramatic elements. The Natya Darpan of Ramchandra and Gunachandra of early 12th century AD also focuses on the elements of acting. We find a mention to Nataka Mimansa by Ruyak, a Kashmiri Pandit, but so far this work is not traced. Bhava Prakshar, the Bhava Praksh of Saradatan highlights the bhava or the emotion at the mental level. The uh, Rasarnav Shuddhakar of Simha Bhupal treats dramatic element in the closing section of the work. Vishwanath in his Sahitya Darpan sixth chapter deals with acting and other dramatic elements. Works on Gana music. The work on music is traced to pre-Bharata period. Dattila, a pre-Bharata aesthetician, seems to have recorded about 80, 18 jatis, species of melodies while dealing with music. Bharat in the Natasas deals with 18 jatis in connection with rasa and bhava. The work Brihadeshi of Matang is considered as the forerunner of works on music. Matang for the first time introduces the term raga from the root ranj to please. He defines raga technically and assigns the role of desi music. Another important work on music is Sangeeta Makarand of Narada. Here based on emotional feeling or rasa, the rasa ragas are divided as masculine raga or feminine raginis. In this background, as theories of as theories of aesthetics, we shall deal with the following important schools: Ras, Alankar, Riti, Vakrokti, and Dhwani. Though mostly they deal with the aesthetic sense in poetry to some extent, the mechanism of aesthetic pleasure can be extended to other art form. A distinct aesthetic theory representing every art form is yet to develop. Aesthetic theories. 1. Bharata's Rasa theory. Bharata defines Rasa in an aphorism in the sixth chapter of Natyasastra. It runs as follows: Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichari, Bhava, Samyogat Ras Nispatti. The rasa is established by the combination of the determinants vibhava, consequents anubhava, and transitory emotions Vyabhichari bhav. Let us explain this further. In the definition, we find terms like vibhava, anubhava, and Vyabhichari bhav that commonly have the word bhava with different prefixes. So let us try to understand the term bhava. Bhava first. Bhava is generally translated as expression. That is, Bhava is that which conveys a particular rasa through various techniques. The vibhava is the determinant, that is rasa, and rasa to be conveyed is expressed in the form of stage setting, characters, costumes, etc. The anubhava is the consequent, that is the rasa to be conveyed in further expressed by gesticulations at the physical verbal levels. The evoked rasa is further sustained by the Vyabhichari bhava plus or the transitory emotions. Bharat classifies about 33 Vyabhichari bhavas, also known as Sanchari bhavas. The three combined, that is Vibhava, Anubhava, and Vyabhichari bhava, constitutes in the establishment of rasa. Further, Bharata says that the unexpressed emotion at a mental level, known as स्थायी भाव alone, when expressed, results in rasa. Thus, there is a kind of cause-effect relation between the sthayi bhava and rasa. Bharata enumerates eight sthayis and its corresponding eight rasas. Sthayi bhava, unexpressed emotion at the mental level. Rasa, the experience of express emotion through gesticulations. Rati, Sringar, sentiment of love. Hasya, sentiment of laughter. Utsaha, Veer, sentiment of valor. Vismaya, Adbhut, sentiment of wonder. Krodha, Raudra, sentiment of anger. Shoka, Karuna, sentiment of pity. Jugupsa, Ribhatsa, Bibhatsa, sentiment of disgust. Bhaya, Bhayanak, sentiment of fear. The meaning of word under the sthai bhava means the same as that of rasa. The difference is that the sthai is unexpressed at the mental level and rasa is experience of the expressed emotion. Further, Natya Shastra conveys nine rasas, popularly known as Nav rasas, wherein Shanta is the ninth ras and its sthai is identified as Nirveda. Later, number of aestheticians added to the number of rasas: bhakti, devotion, vatsalya, motherly love. There are more or less offshoots of Sringara rasa, and we have schools that enumerates of more than 41 rasas. But the two distinct school of rasas are: number one, 8 rasas excluding Shanta as a rasas, and two, 9 rasas inclusive of Shant as a rasas. Let us try to apply the definition in an art form. Says visual gesticulation, acting. If the rasa proposed to be conveyed is say bhayanak fear, then the stage setting and light systems create a fearful condition that is known as vibhava, which prepares the audience for the rasa that is going to be conveyed. Hence, vibhava is said as a detriment. The consequent or anubhava is carried by the actors. Their physical movements expressed in the face, limbs, etc. Convey the fear that Vyabhichari Bhava helps to sustain the Bhayanak Ras that is evoked. Now the puzzling question for centuries and the continued debate is to the lotus of Rasa and Sthai Bhav and their relation. This continued debate gives rise to various theories of Rasa. Theories of Rasa, the Bharata's definition of Rasas. Rasa is quite ambiguous in the sense it does not explicitly state the sthai bhava, unexpressed emotion in the mind, nor does it clarify the word nishpatti established that occurs in the um, aphor, uh, aphoristic rasa definitions. Thus, it gave rise to many theories of rasas, and we find four main theories recorded in the commentary of Abhinavgupta to Natya Shastras. We shall examine briefly each of these theories one by one. These theories mainly differ in identifying the locus of sthai bhav and the rasa. But Lollat Ras Utpatti Vad, the generation theory of Rasa, Lollat is said to have flourished between 15th to 6th century AD. He is considered as the Mimamsa philosopher and also a well versed in Shaiv philosophy. His commentary seems to be the earliest on Natya Shastras. He is believed to have commented on the entire treatise, but the work is lost and his theory of rasa is structured from the commentary of Abhinavgupta. According to Lollat, the Sthai Bhav is in the historical character who is portrayed on the stage when the actors assumes the role of that character, then there is a rise of that sthayi bhava secondarily in the actor. Then through the vibhav, anubhav, and vyabhichari bhavas, this sthayi gets expressed. That results in rasa. The word nishpatti is understood by Lollat as utpatti or produce. So he states the sthayi bhava is produced in the original character. Hence, this his theory of rasa is known as ras utpattivad or the theory of generation. Sri Shakunta's Anumiti Vad, the inferential theory of rasa. The logician Sri Shakunta 6th to 7th century AD presented this theory of ras opposing the view of Lollat. Shakunta tries to explain the rasa theory on the inferential ground, so he presents the paksh, the locus consisting of the reason hetu, the reason that is directly perceived, sadhya, the result or the indirect perception of a thing is arrived at by the universal concomitance of or vyapti. Shakunt applies this inferential syllogism in the following manner: Paksha, the actors, are the locus; Hetu, the various gesticulations by the actors are directly perceived by the audience; Sadhya, the sthayi bhav is inferred; Vyapti, gesticulations by the actors are possible only when there is sthayi bhav in the mind of the actors. By the inferred sthayi bhav, the audience relish the rasa. This is the rasa anumiti vad or the inferential theory of rasa. Bhattacharya's Rasa Bhuktivad, the enjoyment theory of rasa. Bhattacharya 9th-10th century AD is considered as the Sankhya philosopher who interprets the Rasa Sutra by introducing for the first time the concept of generalization or साधारणीकरण. He states the sthayi bhav in the whole enactment is general. It is identified with the spectators who then enjoy the rasa. He extends the concept of sadharana to the other elements too, like the vibhava, anubhava, and vyabhichari bhavas. According to Nayak, the art forms contains the emotional fervor in general, and that is communicated to the audience. Further, for Nayaka, the ras is relished only when the mind of the audience is calm, Vishranti, and detached. Sambit. Abhinav Gupta's Ras Abhivyaktivad, the revelation theory of rasa. Abhinav Gupta 10th to 11th century AD is well known uh, Pratyavigyan Shaiva philosopher, popularly known as Kashmir Shaivism. He opposed the above three views on rasa and borrowing the concept of sadharana from Bhatt Nayak and the concept of Dhwani from Anandavardhan. And in the background of Pratyabhigyan Shaivism developed his theory of rasa. According to Abhinav Gupta, the Vibhava etc. portrayed to the spectator suggests the Sthai Bhava as belonging to someone as in real life, and by the imagination pratibha of the spectators, these accessories are reconstructed, leading to the general or sadharan state. Here, Abhinav postulate the sthai bhav in the mind of the viewers too, which gets connected with that of the character portrayed through the actor. There is an emotional experience by the viewers through identification tadatme with the character. There is revival of sthai bhav in the mind of the viewers, who is now not conscious of himself. In fact, he gets freed from the ego. Abhinav equates this egoless state of chamatkar of pratyabhigyan system. Thus, for Abhinav, rasa is the manifestation of the intrinsic bliss of oneself aroused by the sthai bhav freed from obstacles. Thus, sthai bhav is said to be transferred to rasa. There is a revelation of bliss or rasa. This is the revelation theory of rasa. Aesthetic theories too. Now we shall briefly see the other. Now we shall briefly see the other theories of aesthetics that developed into distinct schools, primarily addressing the kavya or poetry as the main art form. The definition of good poetic composition conditioned within with 36 qualities included alamkar or embellishment in the forms of figures of speech in Bharata's explanation of poetry. Later, Bamana 800 AD identified the word Alankar as a thing of beauty. Dandin and a host of other aestheticians used Alankar in a wider sense. Dandin classified the various aspects connected to Alankar. Bamana divided Alankar as word, Shabda and meaning Artha. Thus, there emerged two kinds, Shabda Alankars and Artha Alankars. In course of time, from the four Alankaras mentioned by Bharata, as much as more than 100 kinds of Alankars were introduced by the end of 17th century AD. The school of Alankara subordinated the Rasa and the positioned Rasa as the one aspect of Alankara. Riti, Bhaman, Bhaman and the foremost aestheticians developed the concept of Riti as the soul of poetry. Riti means diction, a particular arrangement of word. This special arrangement is again based on defined excellences guna of a composition. He gives he gives three kind of Riti, Vaidharva, Gaudi and Panchali. The Riti school suggests the inquiry as to what constitutes the essential beauty of poetry. It includes rasa among the necessary feature of poetic works. Thus, here too, rasa takes a subordinate position. Vakrokti, the theory of poetical work, further developed, which gave rise to another distinct school, is spearheaded by Kuntak in his theory of Vakrokti. Vakrokti means a strikingness in expression different from the general mode of speech. Vakra or tongue twist in the words of poetry was considered as the life of poems. The words in poetry which get a particular twist, bhangi or bakrata in their use by a skilled poet are seen as poetic embellishment. This Bakroti for Kuntak demands greater skill and maturity of treatment. Dhwani, Anand Vardhana, who influenced Abhinav Gupta and many others, propagated the theory of Dhwani. Dhwani theory is seen as an extension of Rasa theory. This entrenched the theory of Rasa in the field of poetry. Anand Vardhan states in his famous work Dhwanya Lok that words can convey, apart from its conventional meaning, a suggested meaning in a composition. When the suggested sense prevails, it is called Dhwani. That is, a suggestive poetry is called Dhwani. Anand Vardhan tries to show that rasa can be best conveyed through Dhwani as aesthetico philosophy. In presenting various theories of aesthetics, it is highly held held that the theory of rasa as redefined by Abhinav Gupta is the best ever presented theory. His theory is inclusive of the ingredients contributed by his predecessors. There is focus on the character to be portrayed as given by Lollat. There is indirect conveyance method of Shankut method of Shankuk and the Sadharana of Bhattinayak. Abhinav Gupta includes the theory of Dhwani as the method of communication as given by Anand Vardhan. Thus his theory is seen as a standard theory of rasa. In addition to all, it is Abhinav Gupta who elevates the aesthetic to the philosophical plane in the background of Pratyabhigyan Shaivism. Thus, here we shall see the application of philosophical thought that brings about the difference from aesthetics to what is called meta aesthetics. In the Pratyabhigyan Shaiv system, the universal self is Maheshwara. Considered in itself, it is shape or of the nature of luminosity, prakash, conscious, chit and bliss, ananda. There is the universal energy shakti inseparable from Shiva. Shiva is bliss and also possesses bliss, and individual being is only a manifestation of Shiva. The bliss nature of self is forgotten because of the concealment by impurities like ego, ahamkara, etc. Abhinav shows in his theory of rasa that the art form is instrumental in removing the obstacle, and there is bliss, anand of the self that gets manifested, which is termed as rasa. Following Abhinav Gupta, there are other aestheticians who give this philosophical bent to the aesthetic theories. In this line, we find many philosophers present the aesthetic theory in the light of Vedanta. One such theory we find in the works of Sri Narayan Guru, identified as one of the contemporary Indian philosophers. In the background of Vedanta, Narayan Guru shows that the sense of beauty enjoyed, which is called rasa, is one atma or self that manifests as the object, instrument, and the enjoyer. He terms the subjective ahanta, ahanta, and all the objective enjoyable as uh, idant. In the moment of enjoyment, he says there is forgetting of the subjective and the objective conditioning, leading to oneness, that is atma. That this he calls as the mysterious ways of the functioning of atma. He describes the creative process of God in his darshan mala darshan darshanamal as an artwork. He talks about the horizontal kind of beauty experience, that is the experience of beauty is an enjoying and enjoyable. He considers that in both the beautiful and the ugly, the enlightenment is nothing but the unfoldments of the one Ananda Atma. In this sense, he perceives the entire universe of enjoyment of Shiva as comparable to an epic conceived by a poetic genius. He speaks of both ecstasy and mystery in nature that reflects in artworks. Let us sum up. In this unit, we have tried to present the Indian aesthetic growth beginning from the treatise of Bharata, that is Natyasastra. This is the starting point of any aestheticians in the Indian context. We have tried to redefine the perspective of Indian aesthetics and its extension to the meta aesthetics by the interpretation by philosophers. In this unit, we have conversed the literary development in aesthetics. We have briefly seen the Rasa Sutra of Bharata and the meaning of the various terms that occurs in the Rasa Sutra. We have covered the theories of Rasa, mainly four as recorded in the commentary of Abhinav Gupta. Then we saw the theories of aesthetics in the light of poetry that took the prime place in the history of aesthetic development. The philosophical approach of an earlier philosopher Abhinav Gupta in the background of Prativigyan system, and the approach of a modern philosopher Narayan Guru in the background of Vedanta gives an insight into the aesthetico philosophical outlook. However, in field of knowledge is to be further explored. The position of Indian aesthetic is yet to be proved as a distinct identified branch of a systematic philosophy in the Indian context. Thank you.